Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 7 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this with all your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Neglected and Lost Everything, and enjoy that guys over on Anime King 2. And stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over Anime King 3. And if you're new, yes, you heard all of that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, with this we begin this new episode. Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Gato was brutally murdered by Samihata that crashed into the man, as Kisame and Orochimaru, who were on one team in the Akatsuki, followed by the masked man. Orochimaru did not know who was under that mask. All that he knew was that the masked man worked under Pain. Yes, he was getting direct orders from Pain. Little did he know that the masked man was actually in charge of the whole operation. But Kisame knew, as Masked Man was the one that brought him the Akatsuki after all. As it was all a plan, all a trick. Know that they got Shisui out here. And Orochimaru was delighted to see those eyes after all. He had someone in Konoha passing on information. Most of the world, well, the rest of the nations did not know that Naruto possessed the Nature Eye. If they did, panic would set after all. The villages were involved in destroying Ozu. Was Kiri, Kumo and the stone, and if they know that someone else was born with it, an eye that was able to fend off against thousands of ninja, take down 3-tailed beasts and not to mention wound, and severely kill one of the Kages and left 2 unable to fight for much longer as they had to go home and get their wounds healed. One man did all of that, so imagine what would happen if they found out that the Uzumaki had rise with the intent to get revenge. It was a normal mission, it was just a C rank, but everything turned to hell when Shisui went to investigate as he was attacked. Shisui might have been powerful with his eyes, but Samihata was a perfect defense, able to seep the chakra out of Kisame rather quickly. The battle started as Shisui was being knocked around, but he was still a high-class Jonin of Konoha and an elite Uchiha as he showed that. Everything was going well as he activated Susanoo, but he was running low on chakra as he kept on fighting them. As they were sticking to the trees, moved around him, Orochimaru. Shisui had slaughtered him 3 times, but the man shed his skin. Orochimaru was feeling his body ache, as he couldn't keep on doing that forever. As Naruto and the others were at the place facing off against all the bandits, until the masked man appeared and took them with him. As he separated them to make sure that Shisui would not use that Konomasu Kame on him. As Naruto saw the opportunity, but Kisame had seeped away their chakra, and the summons tried their best, but they were dispelled back in their realm as Kisame slaughtered all of them, sending them back. Mito saw the opportunity as she grabbed onto both her brothers and started to run away. But she was stabbed right through the chest by the masked man. He then said something that perplexed all of them. He was always too late when it counts. Minato, though, had been summoned, as Sasuke was the one that found the other Konan that Naruto had and summoned Minato. As it was a quick information that passed in the man's mind as he flashed away. The masked man noticed Minato coming as he quickly grabbed Shisui's body that he sucked away in the swirling vortex as he told the others to come. He quickly sucked them away before Minato could fully get his hands on them. As Naruto and Minma had lost their bodies, their mind getting override by the Kyuubi's chakra, seeing that their chakra was almost non-existent because Kisame had siphoned off so much. As Minato quickly subdued them using a seal. As he saw his little girl, she was not breathing. He saw his little girl. She was dead. The chakra from the Kyuubi, the other 25% that flew into Menma, gave him the chakra, a consciousness. Give that he now had 50% just like Naruto. Menma will soon find about that though, but Mito was dead. A week passed after that as a funeral. There was a lot attending the funeral. Many things happened in that past week, as Naruto was upset. He had changed. His mother had not been calm. She has been crying. She has not been at peace. His grandmother and his father, they were there. But his father was going through a lot as well, as Snavy was taking care of her son and her daughter-in-law. But things were difficult, things were tough. As Naruto was livid, he was angry. What's the point of having all this power if he couldn't save everyone? The people that he loved, the people that he cared about. What's the point of keeping them alive if they're after him and his family? He had a new brother or sister on the way, and if he couldn't protect them, what was the point? He didn't see the point of the other villages, as Naruto's mindset was changing as Menma arrived. The both of them had changed. They didn't see the point of having the other nations around, if they would only cause war and chaos. They need to go. And that right there changed the two boys and their outlook on life. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place to check it out for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. The Forest of Death, a place where envoys go to train. Chunins. It was rare to send chunins in there. After all, the place was deadly, especially at night. There has been a few mishaps where people died in there because of the creatures. As the speculation was, it was because of Hoshirama Senju. Yes. The trees in there were larger than any other trees. And the animals, they had somehow adapted to the environment, absorbing the chakra from the trees in there to let them grow at a absurd rate. And most times the animals were vicious. But the worst of the worst were the spiders. Yes, at night, they were crawling creatures of the night, menace of the forest that could rip you apart. But yet, two boys, who were just mere Jennings, were currently in the Forest of Death. At the moment, one of the boys stood at the top of a canyon. Down below him was a long, steep fall into a river. If a Jennings was supposed to fall off there, most people would die, yes they would. Yet the boy looked down. He then dropped himself. His long, red golden hair fluttering in the wind. As his eyes were closed, his face looking up to the sky as he turned around in mid-air. Two kunais came hurtling down towards him. They had explosive tags on them. As they exploded, the boy snapped his eyes open and performed a single hand sign. He opened his mouth. A massive sonic wave came from his mouth. The explosion was contained in a ball of sonic wave. The airwave seemed to pressure the explosion together until it slowly died out. As the boy was getting closer and closer to the ground, to drop and fall, visible chakra lit up around his legs as he twisted his body and dropped. Boom! He created a massive crater as he did. As he landed right on his feet, there wasn't even a scratch on him, yet the ground was obliterated. As he stood there, as his eyes were once again closed, the air then shifted as he ducked, a feet passing over his head with such force. The air literally whisked around his ear. He twisted his body out of the way as he grabbed onto the leg, but the person grabbed onto the back of his neck. He used the momentum to pull the person's leg, but the person yanked onto him, causing the both of them to flip. But instead, the first one flipped him over and slammed him into the wall, not dropping him on the ground. As these persons were none other than two rising prodigies, Menma and Naruto. As Menma looked towards Naruto, there was no playfulness in his gaze, as Naruto's eyes were just focused on Menma's. The both of them looked at each other. As Menma pulled out a kunai and brought it up towards Naruto's chin. As Naruto released him and jumped back, Menma threw the kunai while Naruto was in mid-air. As Naruto flashed to a single hand sign before opening his mouth once again, a strange steam came out of his mouth that rippled the air. The kunai got melted before it could even reach him as he landed on his feet. Menma wasted no time as he flashed to hand sign, slamming his hand on the ground. Wooden spikes emerged, ready to impale Naruto as a whole. As Naruto flipped back, they got larger and larger as Menma did not move his hand from the ground. The wooden spikes kept on coming at Naruto with speed that they were going to pierce right through him. They did rip right through his body as Naruto replaced himself the log. Menma ducked as Naruto's feet ripped through the wall. It had such force that it was able to tear through solid stone. As Naruto twisted and brought his leg down, Menma brought both of his hands up. As Naruto's feet connected with them, the ground trembled and cracked under Menma as he did not waver. As Naruto twisted and slammed his knee right into Menma's nose. Menma staggered back. He flashed two hand signs as he did. As he came around, electricity started to dance on his palm that flooded through his arm and went around his other arm. As he pointed his two fingers at Naruto, a beam of lightning produced from his arm, forced Naruto to jump up in the air. As he did, Menma was above him, his staff in hand as Menma brought it down. Naruto brought his hand in an X motion as Menma's staff connected with it. Boom! Naruto's body was sent hurtling as he smashed into the ground. Menma wastes no time as he created a Rasengan and dive bomb Naruto. Boom! The Rasengan shattered the entire place as there was nothing there. Menma turned as a vicious right hook slammed into his nose once again, launching him backwards. When he blinked, Naruto was underneath him as Naruto slammed a feet right into his back, launching him in mid-air. As Naruto appeared above him, bam! A heel dropped into his stomach. Blood exploded out of Menma's mouth as he crash-landed hard. As Naruto drive himself back came to a stop, Menma picked himself up as he went through hand sign. Wood style, nativity of the Sea of Trees, he said, as he locked his arms together. The ground erupted as trees emerged everywhere, rushing to trample Naruto. As Naruto flashed through hand sign of his own, as the wind and fire chakra inside him mold together. Scorch release, he said. Extreme, steamy murder. As orbs. 3 orbs that look like miniature sun appear around him as he spin them fast. As they spin so fast, it was like a gig as he launched it towards the wood release. The massive trees that was growing from the ground came to a stop as the scorch release sapped all the water out of the wood release. As the trees groaned before cracking and diminishing into nothingness. Menma burst out of the smoke, slamming a fist forward as Naruto blocked it. Menma wastes no time as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, flipping over. As Naruto turned, bam! Menma's feet connected with his face, launching him forward, but Naruto poofed away. As Naruto burst out of the ground, the real one. As Menma turned, he was assaulted. 3 strong punches into his stomach that launched him backwards as Naruto flashed through hand sign. Ice release. Freeze it touch, he said as he slammed his hand on the ground. From the point of impact of his hand, ice spread out everywhere as Menma saw it. Menma was about to land as he knew if he landed on that, he was about to be captured. So, in a split second, he created a Rasengan as he pumped as much chakra as it grew larger than normal Rasengan as he slammed it right on the ground, breaking through the ice release, giving him a free space to land. Lava release. Scorching, steamy rock technique, said Naruto as he fired globs of lava from his mouth as it looked like rocks melted together as Menma jumped back as they slammed into the ground, further in thawing out the ice around him. He landed. The moment he did, he was grabbed from behind as Naruto placed one arm around Menma's throat, holding him back as he put him in a position that if he moved, he could snap his spine. Menma was in no position to do anything because his 2 hands were locked in front of him. As Naruto started to add further pressure, causing Menma to wince. Fine, I give, he said, as Naruto dropped him. Menma dropped as he panted, wiping away the sweat from his brow, as Naruto's back was turned to him. It had been a month since everything. A month and a half to be exact. The mission that they went on was supposed to last for at least a month, to help Tazuna rebuild the bridge. While with Shinobis there, the mission could have lasted a lot shorter, because they were stronger, and if they helped, the clones that they could create would be a big asset in that. The month and a half had served the 2 boys well, as they had did nothing but constant training, other than being there for their family, to make sure that their mother and father was okay. They did nothing but train, eat, sleep, train, eat, sleep, train. They hadn't have a proper conversation with anyone else except for their family in a month and a half now. And Hiruzen and Kakashi also came to talk to them. The man understand what it means to lose someone you care about after all. He lost his teammates. He lost his father. So if anyone else, Kakashi could understand. But yet, no matter what everyone did, the two boys didn't seem like they would return back to normal anytime soon. It wasn't just the way they acted or the way they talked. It was the demeanor around them. You have to increase your speed, said Naruto as he looked towards Minma. A mistake like that out there in the field, and you might die, said Naruto. As Minma picked himself up, he didn't reply to Naruto. He just checked himself over to see if he was fine. Any wounds that he sustained was being healed at the moment by the fox chakra inside of him. Yamato was the one in charge of the teams at the moment. Well, Sasuke and Sesame was being trained by the Uchihas, their father to be exact. They were supposed to get a new sensei so they could continue their genuine duties. They did do missions every now and then, but never had they ever attended a D-rank mission in person. It was nothing but clones. A clone with enough chakra that could last the entire day. They didn't attend. Yamato was the one in charge, as Naruto had been filling the spot on Team 6 at the moment. Team 7 was not circulating, as Sasuke and Sesame were being trained by their father. They were still going on missions as Genins, getting special recommendations from their Hokage. But nothing passed the border. Everything that was being done in the perimeter of the village or right in the circumference of the Land of Fire. They were being watched over by one of the police force members, an elite Uchiha. Seeing that they weren't passing through the Land of Fire, and not to mention envoys were guarding the entire Land of Fire, scouting out the perimeters, it was safe. But other than that, neither Naruto or any of them that went on that mission has been able to leave Land of Fire. Do you think you will let us participate in the Chunin exams? Asked Menma. He will have to, said Naruto. After all, the teams are all messed up. But once we become Chunins, we don't have to worry about that. We can go on missions, different, higher priority missions. They will still be worried. Mom, Menma said. I know, said Naruto, as he turned towards Menma. That is the reason we can't afford to be slacking on our training. We have to be prepared next time something like this happens. Because next time we're going to be ready, said Naruto, as he clenched his fists. As he picked up his things, as Menma started to walk beside him, Menma narrowed his eyes. She's gone, said Naruto. The both of them knew that they were being watched. Their father had sent an envoy guard to watch over them. A female envoy, purple hair, as Naruto could sense her the entire time. Its sensory ability has gotten a lot better, as he could tell exactly where she was. She tried to suppress her chakra, but Naruto could tell where she was. His mother, though, her sensory ability was far advanced than his. She could sense someone's details in their chakra and find out what affinity they possess. That was how powerful his mother's sensory ability was. Speaking of his mother, she did not have a good time taking the news. Things were difficult. Yes, really difficult. All of them went through a lot. His father had completely shut down. Knowing that it was in your duties to perform at your best, while the Hokage's father had shut down for a moment there. For the 2 weeks where everything happened, his father wasn't able to think straight or sign things properly. Hiruzen had to step in and take on the majority of the work. Minato, his mind was just not focusing. He had to be at home for that time being. The people understood, of course they understood. He lost his daughter. His two boys seemed to be broken when you look at it. They barely laugh, they barely smile when it comes towards anyone else. Yet they smile and laugh with their mother. But yet everyone could see, even Kushina could see it. It was fake. She tried her best knowing that she had two other boys, that she needed to make sure they were alright, but it was just so hard, it was just so difficult. As the both of them arrived home, as Kushina was sitting there, she was asleep in the couch. As Naruto saw, there was cookie crumbs on her cheek. He smiled as he came over, as he started to brush it away, as his mother opened her eyes. Her hair was short. Some people handle traumatic defense in other ways. Kushina took it by cutting her hair. She would have shaved her head bald if Tsunade hadn't stopped her. She just wanted it all gone. Because every time she looked at herself, she was reminded of Mito. It pained her, it hurt her, she didn't want to forget her daughter, of course she didn't. But the pain was just a lot. You're back, she said. She looked over them. Their clothing was torn. Did you guys push yourself again, she asked. Nothing for you to worry about, mother, he said. As Naruto smiled towards her. Yeah, we're fine, said Minma. Are you alright? Minma asked. Yep, other than your baby sister wanting a lot of food. I'm fine, she said. As he found out the gender of their newborn baby, it was a girl. No one would ever try to replace the memory of Mito. No one never do that. The thought never crossed any of their minds. They were just gonna have a new baby sister. Someone that they need to train harder to protect. Someone that Kushina would never let out of her sight. She wasn't even sure that she wanted her new baby daughter to become a shinobi. Naruto and Menma were dead set upon it. And she could not. She could not take it away from them. It would just hurt them even more, although she didn't want them to leave the village. She wanted them to stay here where she could just hold on to them and hug them forever. That is all that she wanted. As Kushina started to munch on the cookies nearby. As it made Naruto laugh. She smiled at that. Until she saw his eyes. It was like he was forcing the smile. Forcing the laugh. Because his eyes show nothingness. Yet at the same time he looked towards her with such care and happiness. Well, I think I'm gonna take a shower, said Naruto. I kinda stink. She sniffed. You do, she said. Well, at least you have good hygiene to know when to take a shower. The girls really liked that, she said. As Naruto blushed a bit at that. As Kushina simply chuckled. Well, I'm not wrong. I mean, half of the girls in this village want my little young handsome Naruto. And Minma-kun, she said. But you guys won't leave me for those girls, right? I mean, I am your mother. And you guys belong to me, she said. Well, we are your property, said Minma. And of course, we won't leave our mother, said Naruto. Well, right now I don't have a problem with you leaving, she said. You both kind of stink. As Naruto walked off with a laugh. Minma. As she stopped Minma. Minma looked towards her. As she motioned for him to come closer. As he paused, she sniffed him. You stink as well. As she started to laugh. A little bit of enjoyment. That sometimes change your mind to focus on something else. I'm gonna go take a shower as well. As he stepped forward and placed a hand on her belly. As he just looked at it with a smile. A caring, passionate smile. And she saw it, that flicker of emotion in his eyes. That flicker of hope, happiness. But yet, when Naruto did those things, there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it was starting to worry her a lot. Time skip. It was currently night time. You should go home, said Sarutobi. I just have a few more remaining, said Minato. You could see the line under the man's eyes. It's like he hasn't been getting enough sleep lately. Well, he tried to. But most nights he woke up unable to go back to sleep when he saw her. His precious baby girl Mito. And he just couldn't go back to sleep. But he had to be strong. He had to be strong for Kushina. He had to be strong for his boys. He would pile up all that responsibility on his shoulder for them. He had to make sure they come out of this with smiles on their faces to try to find a moment of happiness, a moment of peace. He couldn't allow them to feel pain. He would take it all on his shoulders to make sure they were okay. Sarutobi got up as he placed a hand on the paper, stopping Minato. I insist. I know my way around these things already. So you don't have to worry, I'll finish everything for you. But no buts, Minato. I know I'm not the one in charge here. You are. But it seems like you really need some rest. And besides, go be with your family. I'll handle things. Thank you, said Minato. Don't mention it, said Sarutobi. As Minato got up, he smiled before flashing away. Sarutobi didn't mind doing this. He needed to spend more time at home with his family, even though for the past 2 weeks he's been home with his family. Time didn't seem to quell it enough because there was still that lingering look in his eyes, a look of pain, guilt, and regret every time. The Hokage must be the symbol of hope for the village, the one that looked on people with smiles on their faces. But still, no one could blame him. After all, losing someone so precious to you was not easy. As he arrived home, as he entered, I'm home, he said. As he heard footsteps, took you long enough, said Snatty, as she smiled towards her son. Sorry, I was a bit busy, he said, that smile on his face, rubbing the back of his head, just like when he was younger, she thought. Come on, you got here right on time, as she brought him towards the dining area. Hey guys, he said, as he roughly two boy here. He then kissed Kushna on her forehead. What took you so long, Dad? Said Minma. I was a bit busy, but everything has been sorted out now. So what do you say we have a wonderful dinner, he said, as a family, as he smiled towards all of them, as Kushna smiled back. They were trying. It was hard, but they were trying their best. It wasn't like they would ever forget her. That would never happen, but they were trying to at least have a normal family dinner without breaking into tears, because the past months haven't been good. It has been mostly crying, mostly silent, mostly emptiness in their eyes. Minato glanced towards Naruto. Menma was affected by all of this as well. But Menma sometimes shows his emotions out. But Minato was concerned because he could not see it. He could not see anything from the boy. Minato was adept at reading people's emotions, but yet he could not read anything from Naruto. Even now as he talked and smiled, there was nothing in the smile. As he glanced towards Kushna, yes, they've noticed a change a lot. It was their own way of grieving and dealing with things, and they couldn't force anything on them. The both of them were brought to Inoichi to test their mind mentality. Menma actually broke down the questions becoming too much for him. He had cried, but yet Naruto did not. He answered each questions without battering a single tear. He was taking it with a heavy heart, and that wasn't good for a small child like him. Despite him acting different, he was still a child, and that wasn't good at all. The next day, as Sesame, along with Sasuke, along with another Uchiha, this boy was a year older than Sesame, given clan traditions, and not to mention his father was a powerful member of the police force. Clan traditions usually entail that marriage happened between the clan. This boy, Damien Uchiha, was a rather arrogant prick. He thought just because he had the Sharingan, the greatest dojutsu as he called it in history, he was untouchable. He had graduated a year before them. He always liked Sesame, and not to mention Sesame was kind to everyone, so he took it in stride that she liked him back. And given who his father was, he thought that he was going to marry into the main house and become Sesame's husband. But then, he and Naruto never got along. Because the boy was so arrogant, Naruto always said things that pissed him off. And yet Naruto did not care because it was all laugh and jokes back then. Since the whole event, he has not seen Naruto. Damien heard about what happened, but yet he thought that Naruto wouldn't change that much. He thought, after a death, people would get over it after all. This is Shinobi world, people die. So, he thought they would get over it. Well, they would. But it leave permanent mark on their souls that will change them. As Sasuke looked up, Sasuke knew her. He went to the funeral as he placed a flower on her grave. And he was sad for a long time. Sesame was even worse. The both of them were best friends along with Hinata in the group as well, who had cried. All of them had cried, all of the girls attended. Despite some of them bickering in the class, Sakura had outright weep to her friend being gone. All of them attended. But time had passed and they were trying their best to get past this. But the two persons that they want to help the most refused to take any help from them. Sasuke was surprised to see them here. Since the event, they have only been here twice, and that's with their mother, to talk to Mikoto. Hey, that's Naruto and Menma. Sesame looked up, ignoring Damien. As Damien glanced forward, he snarled that things were returned back normal, and they were visiting, and he was gonna try to go after Sesame, as he saw Naruto approaching. But yet the boy didn't focus on him, or even look at him. The clan had been shocked at Shizue's death, as it had been kept to the upper heads. No one knew about the specific detail of what happened. Well, one man was left out, and that was a masked man. If anyone found out that the man was a Uchiha, things would be worse to the village. Extremely so. After all, the people start to see the Uchihas with treason in their eyes, After all, the Hokage's daughter was dead. People respected Minato more than they did the Uchihas after the whole scandal back then with the Uchihas being too rough with their arresting. Things would just get even worse. Minato, as a good sign of fate, kept that to himself, that part, because he knew that man was not a part of the village. He was the same man that attacked that night, a man that Minato was gonna find and kill. But up to this point, there's been nothing, no sightings, nothing at all. And he was trying to find out about this organization because, after all, S-rank criminals don't usually come in bunch like that. They had to be led by someone. Someone that was incredibly powerful to handle so many S-rank criminals. Another person that was affected by this was Itachi. His best friend Shisu was gone. And that death changed Itachi in more ways than one that many people didn't know about. As Sasuke has hardly seen his brother lately, he has been focusing a lot on Anfu and he's hardly been home. As the death was affecting him really hard, it was affecting everyone, really. As Naruto and Menma were making their way. Naruto, Menma, said Sesame as she smiled at them. A kind smile. Since everything, she wasn't able to joke around with him anymore, because she didn't know how he would react. She once tried, but the words just wouldn't come out of her mouth. What are you guys doing here, she asks. It's been a long time since you paid us a visit. We're here to see your father, said Menma. Is he around, said Naruto. My father? Yes. What for? Just a personal favor, said Naruto. What the hell gave you the right to ask a personal favor from Fukaku-sama? Damien, said Sesame. What, said Damien, trying to act all cool in front of her. I'm just stating the facts. I mean, most people in the clan can't ask for a personal favor. And I bet it's nothing easier asking for it if you come all this way. After all, your father is a Hokage, he would have just asked your father to summon him. It must be something big. Sasuke sighed Damien, always trying to cause problem. Just be quiet, Damien. Come on, Sasuke. Why won't they tell us? We need to know what it is. As Sesame glared at the boy, but he simply smirked. Thank you for the information, said Naruto, as he started to walk. Hey, don't you hear me talking to you, said Damien. As he hated being ignored, that was one thing he hated. He reached for his hand, lined on Naruto's shoulder. As Naruto reached and grabbed Menma's fist, stopping him from breaking Damien's face. Sasuke was surprised, he barely even see him move. What the hell, said Damien. What the hell was that, he asked. As Naruto shook his head, no to Menma, calming Menma. As Naruto walked past the grip that Damien had on him, forcing the boy to release him. Hey, problem happened in everyone's family. Just because something happened in yours doesn't mean you can change so much and think that you can just do whatever the hell you want, said Damien. Sesame turned towards him. Can you shut up, she said, anger in her tone. As Damien looked bashful at that. He didn't want to make her angry. He was just acting like the bully to make her see him more. You know, sometimes you can be a real jerk, said Sasuke. I'm just stating the facts, he said. As Naruto paused, he then slowly turned. As the look on his face scared the crap out of Damien, not that he would admit. He was smiling. His eyes were closed into a thin line. What did you just say, Naruto asked? As Damien was about to say something, until a nearby police force member felt it. A feeling of dread. The man placed a hand to his heart. It felt like someone was about to kill everyone in the nearest vicinity. As the man looked around, what the hell was this? As he spotted the kids. As he saw Damien, that little arrogant punk, even tried to stand up to police force members just because his father was almost at the top. As he knew that Damien must be doing something, but this feeling wasn't coming from him. That boy. Of course he knew who that boy was. Naruto Senju. The man flashed forward as Naruto turned fully towards Damien as he got right in the middle. As Naruto looked up towards the man. Yes. How may I help you, said Naruto. His eyes still crinkled up in that smirk. That smirk that gave away nothing. What is going on here, the man asked. Damien just pissed off Naruto because of his damn loud mouth, said Sasuke. As Sesame looked towards Damien. You know, sometimes you're really annoying, she said. As he felt that in his heart. as he glared towards Naruto. His mind came up with a way of sure saying that by just because Naruto being here, she was saying that it was because of him. It pissed Damon off even more. Are you here to see someone? Damon was about to say something as the man turned towards him with a harsh glare. As for once he went quiet, mumbling something under his breath too. Yes. The leader of the clan, Fukaku-sama, said Naruto. Can I go? He asked. Yes, the man said. As Naruto walked off with Menma. Hey, why did you intervene in this? After all, doesn't the police force have something better to do? This was just talk between comrades, Damien said. Damien, that mouth of yours is gonna get you in trouble. Hey, what do you mean by that? As the man simply flashed away. The man appeared on the roof as he watched Naruto walk. Just what the hell was that? That feeling. That feeling of dread. But that was just a mere kid. He knew what the kid has been through, as he heard. Almost everyone heard in the village. But still, this feeling, it didn't felt natural. It didn't felt calm, it didn't felt angry, yet it felt void, emptiness. But there was this underlying dread behind it. Like he was about to snap at Damien. Something that wouldn't leave Damien talking anymore. You'll have to inform Fukaku about this. Time skip. It's nice to see you, Menma, Naruto. How may I help you, said Fukaku. Thank you for giving us the time, said Naruto. Yes, thank you, said Menma. We're here to ask. Could you perhaps place a genjutsu on us? Menma said. Fukaku looked surprised by that. A genjutsu, he asked. Yes. A rather difficult one to break even to your Uchiha standards, said Naruto. A genjutsu that it's difficult to break on your minds. Why would I do something like that? It's a way for us to test our capability when it comes towards genjutsu, said Naruto. Given that the Uchihas are the best when it comes towards visual powers, we couldn't ask for a better person to help us, said Naruto. I assure you, it is just a simple test. It will take no more than 5 minutes. And why per se do you want to do this? The man asked once again, trying to get the exact reason. We want to see how far a genjutsu can go. Holding over the fox power, said Naruto. Fukaku narrowed his eyes. The fox power, he said. Is that something wise for the both of you to tamper with, he asked. Of course he knew that they were Jinchuriki. Almost ever, higher upper heads knew. If we don't try now, in the future it will be too late. Not being able to control this power will be a big loss, said Menma. Fukaku knew these childs back then, and they were simple child. But the world changed them. The death of their sister changed them completely. Their whole outlook on life, everything. And recently, no one has been able to tell what the boys were thinking. What the both of you are speculating can be rather dangerous. A genjutsu like that could be dangerous on one's mind. Well, if there is any risk of danger, you can remove it immediately. But we need your help. Will you please assist us, said Naruto, asking kindly. As Fukaku looked over the two boys. What they were asking was dangerous, but Fukaku was known as Fukaku the Wicked Eye. After all, he could cancel any genjutsu that he would cast with his own Sharingan. But why did the boys want this? They wanted to test the power, the control that he had over the fox. But he didn't think that was wise. But yet, the boys have shown incredible growth. They have already shown that they can handle themselves against pretty much any other genins in this village. And perhaps they have stepped up the bargain to step into Chunin rank already. Perhaps it wouldn't be so bad to help them. Okay, he said, but first, I must inform your father about this. He needs to know. I can't have any speculations going around that I would overuse my abilities on you boys. We understand, said Naruto, as he gave the man a short bow. Thank you for your help, Fukaku-sama, said Naruto. We're grateful for your help. We owe you, said Naruto. The man knew that that wasn't a bad thing. The rising ear of the Senju and the Uzumaki clan. Yes, having them owe you a favor wasn't a bad thing at all. And it would make people see that the Uchihas weren't all that bad in their eyes. After all, the hate has diminished, but still, there were still people out there that thought that the Uchihas were being unfair with the police force and treatment that they did to the civilians. But having these two here, that had been through a lot, and showing that the Uchihas were able to help them out and take care of them in certain matters. It would shine a kinder light on the Uchihas. But still, he would have to talk to Minato first. He couldn't have everyone thinking that he was doing something out of the way, despite trying to help the both of them. Time skip. And why didn't you come to me, said Minato, as he looked towards both of his son. Because you would have shrugged off the idea as too dangerous. If you hadn't heard it from someone else first, you wouldn't have second-guessed it, said Naruto, as he looked towards his father. And it is dangerous, said Minato, as he looked towards Naruto. We know, said Naruto, but we need to be ready for any situations. And you will be their father. Things won't turn out that bad. We're just asking for your support in this, said Menma, as he looked towards his father. Minato sighed. What you're asking is really dangerous, despite being supervised in it. We know, said Menma, but we still need to do this. You have been showing us, along with Jiraiya-sensei, the lengths that the power of the fox could achieve. We need to know if he can break through a genjutsu, that is even difficult to a Uchiha. As he looked towards both of his sons without saying anything, he knew the great lengths they were going through to get stronger, but sometimes this was ridiculous. He sighed. The moment anything bad happens, if you can't take it, I'll release you immediately, he said. As Naruto nodded, that's all we ask. Time skip. Fukaku stood in the Senju compound. In the training era, there was a massive field. Seals were lying around the ground. It was like a dome of seals. Minato went through hand sign as he pressed his hand on the ground. All the seal array lit up around him, as there was this bright view of chakra that surrounded them in the dome. As Fukaku just got the explanation from Minato, the seals that can control the output of the fox power, to not let the people of the village worry when they sense that massive dose of killing intent that the vile chakra of the fox produce. Are you ready? He asked as he looked towards both boys. The both of them nodded. They had to see the extent where the fox chakra can go, how far it can go in their system to disrupt a normal genjutsu if it can burn out other chakra. With that, Fukaku chakra invaded their body, as both of them slumped over, dropping to their knees, not moving. As Naruto found himself in literal hell, there was nothing but hot, squelching flames all around him, ready to incinerate him towards a touch. As Naruto focused, as his skin started to burn, outside in the real world, Minato stepped forward as he saw Naruto tense a bit, but Fukaku raised his hand, stopping him. Watch, he said, as Naruto's hand tightened, grabbing the grass. Same for Menma, as Menma was being burned alive. But both boys, their minds were focused, as they reached deep for that well of chakra that was inside of them, and started to pull on it. The fox chakra started to run in their system, as it burned through the chakra of the illusion that Fukaku placed in their system, completely incinerating it. A cloak came on both boys, as Fukaku felt the violent chakra start to be lifted in the area. It was so thick and tense. It was amazing that the boys could stay conscious while in this form. Both boys snapped their head up, their eyes red. As Naruto's eyes, all of the circles in his eyes were red. Every single one of them. It was no longer the mismatched color. All of them were red, with a tiny slit in the center as Menma's eyes were red with slits in it. Both boys looked at their hands that were completely fine, as they shook their head as they got to their feet. It works, said Fukaku, surprised that they were able to break out of the genjutsu so easily. As Naruto looked towards his hand, it works, said Menma. Seems that way, Naruto said. As he looked towards Menma, how do you feel, he asked. Better than ever, Menma said. Seems like all of that training worked off. They were talking normally, as the both of them had the cloak around them. No rising of temperature, no violent output, no anger. The malice of the Kyuubi's chakra. Don't you feel any of it? Asked Minato. No, I feel okay, said Naruto. But this is not even a fraction of the power. So we won't know unless we put it to the test, to see if in a battle if we can control this state. Will you give us a go-ahead, father? Said Naruto. Minato looked at the both of them. Once anything gets out of line, I'm gonna shut it down, he said. They nodded. Alright. Begin, he said, The both of them move as their fists smash together. Minato and Fukaku stood there as the boys clash. Nothing but pure taijutsu. It's amazing how much they have grown, said Fukaku, as he was indeed impressed. The boys were showing complete control of their emotions, not going ballistic or out of control. For one to be able to control their rage this way, it's kind of scary, said Fukaku. To be able to be so calm while in the midst of a battle. At the same time, it's incredible. Minato smiled at that. Yeah. As he was happy to see that they were growing. And they were getting stronger as the day passed. As both boys fought until they were exhausted. They did not lose control, as he could control this fraction of the power quite well. Menma felt like he could go a bit more, so did Naruto, but they didn't want to push it. Unknown to them, it was because of the Mokiton, able to suppress the Fox's power so much that it filtered out so much of the hatred. It wasn't able to affect them that badly, something that was quite beneficial to them. Time skip, as Jiraiya, Hiruzen, and Minato was in the office. Jiraiya has been around a lot lately, being there for his son. After all, the both of them were like father and son, everything in except for blood. As Jiraiya has been there since, well, almost day one. After all, when Tsunade was pregnant, she didn't have anyone left except for Shizune, and Jiraiya had took on the fatherly role and help the boy, grow him, and teach him. As Jiraiya looked quite upset about something. Perhaps he's just doing this to get information, said Hiruzen. Yes, sending his own granddaughter. Perhaps you're right, said Minato, as they were discussing about Tishikage, who was sending his granddaughter to Chunin exams. Jiraiya had received the report and brought it back. There was a lot of team coming, and from Kumo as well. Jiraiya said, that girl is going to be a part of the team, the Nibijin Julki. For someone to be able to control the Biju inside of them, and still be a genin. That is quite strange, isn't it? Said Hiruzen. As the three-man already knew that this was a host. Perhaps they wanted to show Konoha that their ninjas were better or something, by using their strong ninjas as genins. I highly doubt that she's still a genin, or even genin level. Perhaps they just want to see how things are going. How did things go with the letter? Asked Jiraiya. I turned him down. There will be no sacrifice on my part because of what one of his ninjas did, said Minato, talking about the Haiga incident. He responded with an okay that he will check over his man. He was rather calm about it, and you know the Raikage is not one to be calm. There was some grudge being guided and blended together. It's a matter of time before he starts to act on those grudges. Oniki seemed like he hasn't learned from the past war, said Sarutobi. If this is some kind of host, I don't believe that he will try anything but try to get information on the abilities of our ninjas, especially Naruto and Menma. After all, it is unknown to the world about their abilities and the things that they could do. But once this is made public, you know that they will have a target on their head. Having someone that can perform Mokiton, like the first Hokage, a man that was said to be the god of shinobis, powerful than me, far in my prime. That would put fear in their hearts, said Hiruzen. Not to mention, to make it worse, Naruto have those eyes. Not to mention he's a Uzumaki. Yeah, it's gonna put a target on their back, said Jiraiya. But we can do something about it. We cannot have them participate. They have trained and worked so hard to get to this point, said Minato. I can't do that. The both of them will be too angry at me. Angry at you. Look, Sensei, it's not like they can't defend themselves. They have been pushing themselves for the past couple of months to sweat and exhaustion to get there, to get at the level, to get ready. I'm sure that they can handle anything that any genins can throw at them. Not to mention, one thing these nations don't know. Both Naruto and Menma has been studying with Kushina in the arts of sealing. Sensei, you're at a level 10, and that will be a sealing master for the rest of the world. But compared to Uzumaki's, your level 10 will seem like a level 6 or 5, and their level go up to level 20. Jiraiya looked rather bashful at that, as he knew it was true. Yes, of course it was true. Compared to real Uzumaki's sealing wasn't that top notch. Not even Minato was that top-notch compared to real Uzumakis, who could literally ride seals in the air rather quickly with their own chakra. Minato could do that, but not at the degree that a real Uzumaki could do. At this moment, Kushina has said to herself, both Naruto and Minma are at level 5, and Kushina has made sure to show them how to subdue any tail beasts. Not to mention their Mokiton has been getting a lot stronger. They can do it. So you're gonna let them participate, said Sarutobi. I can't turn them down. All of them. All of the Genins on the team, Sakura, Sasuke, Sasami, all of them has trained hard for this. So, I'll have to hear what Yamato has to say. He's been the one watching their progress mostly. Well then, I think I'll go pay them out a visit to see what they're up to, said Jiraiya. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Stone, as Kurosaki smashed her fist into her palm. You don't have to worry, Gramps. I'll beat the crap out of these snot-nosed Konoha Genins. Remember your mission. Get as much information as you can on Minato, sons. We want to know what they're capable of to see if they're going to be a threat in the future. Don't worry, Gramps. I'll stomp the crap out of them to see what they can do. Don't be careless. Their father is Minato. Perhaps they might know certain things. Don't worry, they're still just brats. I'll handle them, she said, that smirk on her face. Meanwhile, at Kumo, as Yujito, in front of the Raikage, nodded. I'll be sure to test their strength, to see what they're fully capable of. The Raikage nodded back to her. Don't disappoint me, he said. She bowed her head, as she would find Naruto Senju and Minma Senju to see what they're capable of. They shouldn't be that difficult to handle. After all, with what she could do, it should be really easy. This was the main reason why she wasn't promoted. This was the main reason why she stayed a Genin. For a reason. And she would not fail no matter what. But guys, be ends episode right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.